Hey guys, welcome on tonight for an episode of Kitchen Table Conversation. My guest to my right, to your left, is Miss Valerie. Golly, I forgot your last name just that quick.
Valeria High.
Valeria. I thought it was Valerie. Valeria. My aunt's name is Valeria. Valeria Goodson. Valeria. Yeah, it's good. Cool. Valeria, that's how you get proper when you say Valeria. Valeria High. Thank you, Valeria, for coming on with us tonight on the Kitchen Table Conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Don't be nervous.
No, actually, I'm not nervous. I was nervous last night before I did.
Oh, really?
The live. I was, because it's been a minute since I've done a live or since I've spoken to a live audience. But no, I'm not nervous today. I'm just tired from walking up them steps.
We in the brand new upper room studios. We just got it finished and refurbished, and we got our lights in. We got our camera set up and everything. So welcome to the first episode that's been filmed in the Upper Room Studio. That's a cool name, Upper Room Studio.
Yeah, it is Upper Room.
It ain't the man cave, it's Upper
Room.
Room.
Just start singing Upper Room.
Well, thank you, Valeria, for coming on. Now, we're going to jump right into this. Ms. Valeria, I heard your testimony last night. First of all, let's back up. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
As I said, my name is Valeria High. I'm 45 years young. I'm the mother of 4 adult children, 8 beautiful grandchildren.
Ooh, 8. I got 4.
I got 8.
You want to see mine? I got them on my phone.
Yeah, you know we always do that. Let's see your baby. I'm a plus size model.
Oh.
I am a event hostess.
Okay.
And sometimes I do speaking engagements as well.
Oh, wow.
And last night when I did the live, you know how sometimes Satan will come at you and be like, I'm going to give you every reason in the world not to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And then when I did it and you got in touch with me, I had to realize God is a God of suddenly.
Suddenly.
He does
quickly.
Quickly, all of a sudden. It went from me doing my cousin Angela Hagler asking me to do that live because we've talked about some issues that I had in the past. Mm-hmm. And it just went from there to that. And, I still have my pastor back home in Greensboro, Reverend Stephen Moore, New Life Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay.
I have to accredit a lot of things that God brought me through to him.
Okay.
To his guidance and him reverencing God for who he is and being able to, like I said, I was locked up for 8 months and he came to see me in jail and he was talking about God. I'm like, I know he ain't come here talking to me about no God. Ooh. And God see me in jail. Go outside and talk to somebody, tell them folks out there about God, because I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah.
But that was before I had a personal relationship with God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in all of that, but even before the rape happened, I was already.
Okay, hold on. We don't want to give him too much right now. We're gonna ease into that.
Okay.
We're gonna ease into that. So we know you got a lot of irons in the fire. You're a member of Cornerstone Full Gospel Baptist Church, where Freddie Washington is your pastor. And
I'm so
like I said,
ashamed.
no, you good. I know that since last night, it's just when I saw the testimony, it just dug into my spirit because just 2 weeks ago, we had a young lady on with a story that was similar to yours. Mm-hmm. And people were saying, hey, you need to do that again. You need to have somebody else. And when I saw that, I said, wow, here's our next episode right here. Because we was going in a totally different direction with our young adults tonight. But I was like, this is an opportunity for it's to continue the conversation that we had a couple weeks ago. So with further ado, let's hear your testimony.
Even before, I was raped 14 years ago. Mm. And even before the rape happened, I was already messed up. And I had a lot of stuff that was happening with me. I was facing prosecution for a crime that I didn't commit. And that's how, as I said before, how I ended up spending 8 months in jail and how God wasn't lost. I was the one that was lost. But I just look at it now as he had to take, because he had been talking to me all the time. But of course, we always ignore him because we think we know what's best for us ourselves. Mm-hmm. And in order for him to get through to me, he had to take me and put me up out of the way. Not out of the way of other people, but out of the way of myself. And no matter what I tried, my bond was so high, it was just ridiculous. My bond was set at $1 million, so God already knew I wasn't going to make that. So I was just going to have to sit there until he said, child, it's time for you to go. And that's what happened. But before going to jail, maybe a month before I went to jail, I was raped by someone whom I thought I could trust.
Was it a family member? Or?
No, it wasn't a family member. He was someone that I knew. He used to hang out with us. We used to all hang out together, going to the clubs, drinking, just having a good time. And you know, the part that I forgot that I omitted to say last night was, you know, when I went to my friends and the people near and dear to me that I thought I could talk to, these were people that I hung with every day, all the time. You know, this is my clique. These are my people. I was hanging out with these people, and I went to them and I told them what he did to me, and they was like, "You lying, girl? You was just drunk. Ain't nothing happened to you."
So your friends, your closest friends, cohorts, didn't believe you.
Did not believe me.
Why they didn't believe you?
I guess because they felt like we had been drinking all night long, and that was it. But you know, I had been drinking, but I've always had a high tolerance for alcohol.
But they don't give nobody an excuse to do that.
It still don't give them an excuse to do what they did. But you know, that's that mentality that a lot of people have. And I would just say black families, but I ran across a situation last week that it's not only in the black families, it's universal. That what happens in my household stays in my household. And even if it did happen to you, just swallow it down and go on about your life. Just go ahead on and live, you know?
We actually had that conversation last week on an episode called Black Men Don't Talk. And we talked about how our families grew us up saying, hey, don't tell that, don't do this.
Yeah.
You know, like you said earlier when we was talking, go in the bedroom, go in the back, because here come Uncle Joe or
here come
something
Uncle
like that.
Joe. We finna have this cookout
That's so
over
true.
here.
That's so true in our
We finna
families,
play cards, and Uncle Joe coming over here. Now, Celeste, you go in that room and you put on the church's thing you can find and put on. Something to come all the way down to your ankles. It don't need to be tight. It don't need to be short. Eat your food and go on back in that room and stay away from Uncle Joe. Now, what y'all need to start doing is keeping Uncle Joe away from your vulnerable family, and you know he done already messed them up.
Telling it, making your voice be heard.
Make your voice heard, and stop shushing people when they get hurt. That's what happens. You shush them, you make them be quiet, you make them shut up. Then they go and they close up, and the next thing you know, either they done committed suicide, or they done killed somebody else, or they done became a prostitute or drunk, or whatever. But all of this has happened because you made them hold on into that demon. Don't you think whatever is inside of you is eventually going to rise to the top like cream? It's going to come out.
Now you say you was right there 14.
I wasn't 14. It happened to me 14 years ago.
14 years ago.
I was fully grown.
Okay, 14 years ago.
Yeah, 14 years ago.
So what transpired in your mind after that happened? When you say your friends didn't believe you, your closest people around you didn't believe you, how did you deal with that? Because we're talking about mental illness.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with it?
It takes you to a point where, like I said, after I tried to get the people to police and all of those people to just listen to me, then nobody want to hear anything I had to say. So I feel like, you know, I'm just filthy. I'm no good. I didn't even want to live.
Wow.
I went home and I took 15 muscle relaxers.
15.
And I wanted to die. I had this thing in my mind.
So you attempted suicide.
I attempted suicide. 15 muscle relaxers. The heart is a muscle, so I'm knowing my heart is just going to go to sleep, and I'm going to just go to sleep peaceful. I ain't going to have to worry about this no more.
Wow.
I woke up sometime late the next day. The biggest blessing for me when this happened was that my children weren't at home to see any of it. Because they were young, but they just so happened to have been at their father's house at the time when it happened to me. And I didn't want to live. I was angry with God. I was angry with myself. I was angry with everything and everybody. I was angry with the birds chirping, with the sun shining, with the moon coming. I was angry with everything. And it takes you to a place of despair. You know, you constantly walking around hoping and thinking that the worst will happen to you. So you won't have to live. And you won't have to continue to go on. But at that time, I didn't know that God kept me for a purpose. And I'm still figuring out some of my purposes. I have more than one. I'm coming to find that out as the years crawl by. I have more than one purpose. Just because you do a particular thing today don't mean you'll be doing that tomorrow. That's done. Or it may be to a spot where you can come back and pick it up. But whatever it is that God has for you in this particular season, you got to move on and you got to do it. But the mental illness comes in when people tell you, well, you know, just don't worry about it.
Pray about it.
Pray about it.
Yeah.
Prayer works. Prayer does work. But you telling me to pray about it, give me some tools.
Give me something to use.
Give me something to use that goes along with this prayer. You telling me to pray about, okay, I'm going to tell you to pray about, but I'm going to give you the number to this therapist.
Yeah.
Me and a friend just had this conversation this morning right before I talked to you.
Exactly.
You telling me to pray about it, give me the number to a counselor, some kind of group, anybody I can talk to. Versus tell me, just go home and pray about it. I didn't know how to pray at the time. How you gonna tell me to do something I don't know how to do? I ain't been instructed.
Exactly.
It takes instruction on anything. We're not just born learning how to pray. My first prayer, you know what my first prayer was when I got to jail and couldn't get out of jail? Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, that's the go-to.
That's the go-to. You, and I thank God for sending an intercessor because He knows our hearts. He knows what we need to say. He knows the mumblings, the moanings, and the groanings, and all of that. When I went to jail, going to jail for me was the worst and best thing that could have possibly happened to me. So I got out there. I was drinking heavily. Like I said last night, I was probably the most functional drunk that I knew.
Wow.
I would go to bed drinking. I would get up and get my kids ready for school. I would go to work. On my lunch break, I'd be drinking. I'd come home drinking. I'd cook the kids dinner drinking. I'd fall asleep in the tub, in the bath drinking. Wake up. I woke up hours later in the tub. And I have people that can ask me, how can you talk about this so freely? How can I not talk about it so freely?
You have to share your story.
If this is what God brought me through, then it's my duty to open my mouth and tell people what I've been through. You cannot heal from anything if it's covered.
Wow.
If I get a burn and they cover it, it's not going to heal. It's got to breathe.
Right.
If I got stitches across my forehead, if I cover it, it's not going to breathe. You got to uncover it. You got to unhide those truths in order to be able to breathe again. Because I had gotten to a point I wanted to die. I talked to the Lord and I told God, I had gone through so much with the alcoholism and the mental illness and me feeling unloved by God and people and even myself. So I came to a point where I just fell down on my knees and I told God, I said, you know what, God, I want to live. I want to live. And from that day forward, I've been living.
Wow. So the title of this is Purpose After the Pain. Have you, I know you said a minute ago you still trying to figure out your purpose, but have you came to grips with everything that happened from the assault, sexual assault, to the jail, to all the different things that are going on? Have you come to grips with all that, and how do you deal with that on an everyday basis?
I come to grips with all of that. It wasn't easy. And, sometimes the old familiar thing will come back at you. And you'll be like, well, if I had an argument with my mom and I think about something that she said and be like, you know what, Munch, you gotta let that go. What's done is done. You gotta move forward. You can't constantly move forward if you're constantly taking 2 steps backwards. Your future's in front of you. The rear is behind you for a reason. You can stop and you can look at it and you can ponder over it, but don't stay there. Move forward. I often sit and I think sometimes if I'm going through something particularly hard, I often think about what God did back then to bring me through. I don't stay there and fester in it. But I have to tell myself, well, Munch, if He brought you through that, don't you think He's going to bring you through that? If He can put pretty dandelions on the grass and make it look pretty, if He can give a bird a bird's nest to live in, don't you think He's going to have a roof over your head?
Wow.
Don't you think He's going to put clothes on your head? He's going to do the same thing for me. He gave me dominion over all of those things. If I feel like I got too many dandelions growing up in my grass, I got a lawnmower, I can go out there and I can cut it down. Because that's my dominion over that. And God has dominion over me. So if I give Him what's troubling me, He's going to take care of it.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful story. And I'm thankful that you was able to come on today and share it with our audience and give a little bit of clarity to somebody that might be going through some of the same things in their life and might be at the point of depression, anxiety, suicidal thought,
all that
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know because I've faced a lot of those issues when I wrote my book, and I got to plug it. When I wrote my book, it's all about, and I'm gonna give you this copy of it.
Oh, thank you.
When I wrote my book, it's all about how I overcame some of life's most difficult choices. And to listen to your story, it gives me hope. It gives me a thought of, hey, if she can do it, you can do it, and you can continue to do it and try to encourage her as she encourages you. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you for having me. That's all I want to do is to encourage the next person. I have had a few messages come across today. people that I know and are close to, well, why you keep talking about that? You just want attention. The last thing I need is attention.
Mm-hmm.
If my message is not for you, close your ears to it.
Mm-hmm.
Before I started talking yesterday, the first thing that I said was, I pray that God will allow each heart that needs to be touched, and the ears to be open. And if that's not you, that's fine. But don't try and quiet me to keep somebody else forgetting what God may have for them, because it's not about me. What happened to me didn't happen to me for me. It happened to me so that I could give it to somebody else. Everybody don't get the same opportunity that I have. A lot of people are too afraid to open up and talk about. You can't count the people that have inboxed me or text me today and just said simply thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never call their names because that's not my job. What God allowed me to do, allow them to open up to me. Even if you only open up to that one person,
That's what it's
great.
all about.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. One person told me it happened to them when they were way young, 7 years old. They had never mouthed it, never voiced it to anybody. Because in their family, it was what happens in my house stays in my house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't expect nobody to heal if you constantly beating them down. And these same people, you parading them around in their face every single day. How can I heal? And some of them can't heal because their abusers are their parents.
Mm. So true.
You got to go to sleep and wake up, and that's how 12 and 13-year-olds got pregnant way back then, and then they ended up with a baby. And now little Billy is your brother because your parents done took him and raised him.
Mm.
And instead of them asking the little girls what happened to them, they want to call the little girls fast and omnish. Now some creep in your family messed this child up, took their childhood away from them. That's not fair. And it's not fair for them to have to be quiet about it because you were grown and couldn't keep your hands to yourself.
Right, and those things that happen to those young people then affects them the rest of their life.
It affects them the rest of their lives.
The rest of their life.
It would have. God took mine and turned mine into a blessing for somebody else. Had it not been for me, him taking me and putting me up out of the way and allowing me to see him, to open my heart up to him, I would have continued to be messed up. I would have just been gone and out there, maybe on drugs, prostituting, or anything. Because it's a mind thing. Once it happens to you, it eats away at your mind, your heart, and your soul. Mm-hmm. And eventually you start doing things that eat away at your body as well. Mm. So, telling somebody, well, just pray about it. Yeah, that's cool. Pray. We need prayer. But give them some resources. Give them somebody to call, somebody to talk to, something. You be there listening ear, do something. Don't just send them on home. That's just like me coming to you and telling you right now I'm hungry, and you tell me, okay, well, I'm going to pray about it. And you sitting there with a kitchen full of food and won't even give me a bag of potato chips.
Wow. That's a good analogy, yes.
That's basically the way it is when they send these people along. Well, we just going to pray about it. We're going to take you up to the altar. Mm. We're going to get down and we're going to do 10 Hail Marys and you're going to be all right.
And we're Catholic real quick.
Catholic, and hey, the Catholic Church good for it.
All right, we ain't gonna get into religion. But with the Valeria, we thank you for coming on, and with the last few minutes, because we know you got to leave, but the last few minutes, talk to some young person or young female that has went through some of the same things you went through with the sexual assault and possibly charges and court system and all that. Give them a couple minutes on. Encourage them and motivate them.
What I want to tell any young person, or just not even any young person, any person who's been hurt or molested, or even if it's a domestic violence situation, because I've gone through that as well, but that's a whole nother show. Mm. But call somebody, talk to somebody. Don't hold it in. Don't listen to those people. You're going to get those people that tell you, just keep it to yourself. Just pray about it. God gonna make it all right. You tell those people that ain't gonna help you. You need somebody. If they can't help you, then point you in the right direction. If those people claim to be the ones that love you and care about you, you got to open your eyes and you got to wake up and realize them ain't your people. Mm-hmm. Anybody that will tell you to be quiet and don't tell somebody about something bad happening to you, them ain't your people. Talk to somebody. I'm on Facebook, Valeria High on Facebook. If you need to reach out to me, reach out to me. I'll give you my phone number. I'll make a post or whatever it takes. If I have to get with Rodney and we can come up with a situation, we'll come up with something to help you to be able to reach out to somebody so you can get the resources, the proper resources. Because if you don't get the help, it's certain death after this. Maybe not physically, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
And mental death is worse than
is
physical death almost.
Worse than physical death. I see people in a mental state of mind that don't even know they're in the world. And that's got to be horrible. So reach out. I'm here, and I'm always willing to listen. I'm going to pray for you, but I ain't going to just leave it at that. I'm going to do my best to try to find you some help because I wish somebody had done it for me.
Once again, thank you, Valeria, for coming on. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all.